One of the more interesting traditions that we have in Judaism is the idea of the resurrection of the dead. That at some point in history, we don't know when it is, we don't know if it's tied into a Messianic era, we don't know if it is tied into the Messianic era, if it's before the Mashiach arrives or after the Mashiach arrives, that the dead will once again come alive. The idea behind Tchias HaMesim is that a person gets the chance. We can only do mitzvos in this world. Lo HaMesim Yihalaluka, the pasuk says that we're familiar with from Hallel, right, in Tehillim. That's what David HaMelech wrote, that the dead cannot praise God. What that means is that mitzvos are only in this world. One cannot do mitzvos, and therefore one can't perfect themselves after death. Well, Tchias HaMesim is almost, to use an expression which I'm hesitant to use, but almost like a bonus round, where a person gets a second chance or another chance to perfect themselves by doing more mitzvos. Now, this idea of Tchias HaMesim, what the purpose of it is, not to see, let's say, dead relatives or come back to life and experience the pleasures of the world that you weren't able to experience. But when we understand that it's only for mitzvos, a teaching of the rabbis, which isn't commonly taught, but is a Gemara that's explicit right in the teachings of the Talmud, states that it's not that everybody experiences Tchias HaMesim. It's not the whole world will be repopulated by every person that ever lived, but rather only the righteous, only tzaddikim, are allowed Tchias HaMesim. Now, that makes perfect sense when we think about the idea that Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead, is in order to do more mitzvos, because the only person that's going to want to do more mitzvos are tzaddikim who did mitzvos when they were alive, quote unquote, the first time. Therefore, Tchias HaMesim, although commonly thought, and here's the misnomer, commonly thought to be for every person, is actually only for tzaddikim. The way the Talmud expresses it in teaching is that which is greater, rain or Tchias HaMesim? And the Talmud actually says God giving rain is a greater act because it applies to everybody, while Tchias HaMesim only applies for tzaddikim. A fascinating teaching that has so many repercussions to our own lives, even before we get to Tchias HaMesim. Shalom.